Hey, this is Jeff at Cackle Hatchery. Today we're going to talk a little bit about some baby turkeys, or baby poults I should say. Basically, what is the difference between a heritage turkey versus a store-bought turkey? So let's talk about that real quick. Heritage turkeys come in a lot of different colors. There are heritage bronze, there are royal palm, there's a blue slate, there's a black slate. That's what this little guy right here is. This is a black slate. We have Bourbon Red turkeys. There are blue slate, which we talked about. There's Narragansett turkeys. And there's also a black Spanish that looks, as a poult, looks similar to this little guy right here. So, heritage turkeys versus a turkey that you might get at the grocery store. Heritage turkeys, where they're going to differ is that they're going to grow a lot slower. In other words, they're not going to pack on the pounds and the meat as quick as a broad-breasted white turkey. They're not going to be as big. They're going to mate naturally too. So when you have these on your homestead or backyard or whatever, they'll be able to mate for several years naturally. Whereas your broad-breasted white, in most cases, they are artificially inseminated because they just get too big and unable to mate. So it's artificially done. These guys will live a long life, okay? You know, they can live 4 to 10 years. A broad-breasted white, humanely, typically you need to butcher them. They're not going to do well if you keep them on for more than a year. Typically they'll get down in their hocks or their knees. They'll have joint issues, heart issues, connective tissue issues, just because of their massive growth that they have and putting on that body weight. These guys will forage better. In other words, they'll get out and they'll look for bugs and scratch around and eat, and they're going to have a natural environment or a natural tendency in life to them. A lot of times these guys really need to be in a protected area because they're not going to get away from predators. They need the feed and water somewhat close to them. You know, you can do things like restricting their feed and water to slow down their growth. That will help them be healthier if you're wanting to keep them around for pets or long term. These guys, all the heritage colors and breeds, they're going to be a lot prettier. By that I mean their feathers are going to be really nice and pretty, and of course every breed or variety, color variety of these have their own different look, and maybe we'll try to flash some of those up for you. Your white turkey though, generally they're not bred to have really good feathering, so they're not going to look as pretty. They're going to be rough looking. So that's another big difference between a heritage and a normal meat turkey. The meat in these will be a little bit leaner. It's not going to be generally as juicy. It depends on the time that you process them, how old they are and whatnot. There's several variables that go into that. But it might be a little bit darker meat overall and a little bit leaner than what you're used to in a broad-breasted white, which is generally what you're going to get at the grocery store for a turkey. So these are some broad-breasted turkeys. These are your white turkeys, which you normally will see these. These guys will grow up, and this is what you'll normally find in the grocery store. There's also a broad-breasted bronze, basically the same genetics, similar weights and growth rate on them, except for they'll have some markings similar to what we call a heritage bronze, which is kind of similar to a wild turkey look, but they're not going to be feathered out real well. So they generally don't feather really well on the broad-breasted variety. But that's the difference between these two. But I have other questions. People want to know, what do you call turkeys? Well, it depends. Are we talking about a grown adult turkey and it's a male? Well, if it's a male, we call it a tom. If it's a female, we call it a hen. And then what if we have little guys like this? What do we call them? Well, they're called poults, baby poults. So now, what if you have a big group of turkeys? What would you call them? Well, generally they're called a flock. But there are some fun names that some people call them rafters. I don't know where that comes from. They like to fly up in the rafters, or are they short for a modern day dinosaur? I don't know. What do you think? Other fun names might be a gang of turkeys. I've also heard a posse of turkeys. So, what do you think? Leave some comments. So, which turkey would you rather have? A heritage turkey or a broad-breasted turkey? I think in its simplest form is that if you want something that is strictly to butcher and eat and can do confined areas, I would consider just doing the broad-breasted. You're going to get the fastest growth, less feed put into them, and get the most meat out of them. Now, however, if you'd like to have birds that will mate and reproduce, lay eggs, hatch them out, roam around, and also be a good butchering turkey in the future, so you like the option of having a pet plus something that can reproduce, then you need to stick, I think, more with the heritage turkeys. You can go on our site, cacklehatchery.com. There's some weights guidelines on all these different breeds that we've talked about. So I don't have all the breeds today, but we can talk a little bit about the Royal Palm. We can talk a little bit about the Black Slate, and we could talk a little bit about a heritage bronze. These are all considered heritage breed turkeys. Probably the Royal Palm will probably be the smallest of all the turkeys. You can go on our site and they'll give you some stats on that, but they're very beautiful. Mainly white with some black. They have a nice black ring in the tail on the males. And we got some videos too on the website of our grown flocks to look at. So Royal Palms are very, very pretty. Your Black Slate will typically be all black, but they'll have some white feathers in them when they grow up, and they're going to be a little bit larger than the Royal Palm. If you want the largest of our heritage turkeys, I would suggest the Bourbon Red or the Heritage Bronze. Now, some of you will say, well, what's that green mark on his head? Well, here at Cackle Hatchery, we have several turkey varieties. So we have a Narragansett that looks similar to this as a baby poult. And we also have the broad-breasted bronze that looks similar to the heritage bronze. So we put a green mark on the heritage bronze so we don't get them mixed up here at the hatchery, and also make sure if you place an order, we get you the right bird that you ordered. So anyway, that's a little bit of some information about heritage turkeys and broad-breasted turkeys. So we have here a whole box of turkeys. We have heritage and also some broad-breasted turkeys. So who wants a box of turkeys? Go to cacklehatchery.com and you can find all the different selections that we have there. Like and subscribe if you felt that you had some helpful information provided today. This is Jeff at Cackle Hatchery. Keep them cackling.